buying food. This time we can't even give her money to go to market. Drugs, everything, she buys it for us. 60,000 cedis I owe her. Where am I going to take it from? You are giving us our money. The money hasn't reached our pocket. It has not reached our pocket. This one is Bachi Dankwa, Joseph Bachi Dankwa. He's in our house. We are feeding him too. Come on, they should come and bring us our money. If they don't bring us our money, Thursday, Friday, we'll come here. Those people...
It's Friday. Hello, welcome to Let's Talk Ghana here on Studios 2 Television. The show airs every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays here on Studios 2 Television, on YouTube as well as on Facebook. I am Eric Mawina Igbeta, your host. Let's get into the details as to what to expect today. And the pensioner bondholders, yes, we've been talking to you about them for quite a while on this show. They returned to the premises of the finance ministry yesterday, had a meeting with the ministry, and now have decided that they are dragging government to the Commission of Human Rights and Administrative Justice should the state and the finance ministry fail to pay interest on the accrued coupons and bonds. We'll get into details on that for you shortly. Also, Professor Bafo Ajimandua, he's a governance expert. He's been warning the government against it opening itself up for a lot of criticism following the arrest of Professor Frimpong Boateng, who's the former Environment, Science and Technology Minister. We'll end the show in the Upper East region because butchers there are raising concern. They say the ban on the slaughtering of livestock is banned for business. Stay with us. We'll return from the short break and delve into the details. You're welcome back to Let's Talk Ghana here on Studios 2 Television. Like I say always, leave a comment for us in the comment section. Let's do the reading for you as we continue to put Ghana first in all of our conversations. We're starting with the Pensioner Bondholders Forum. They, yesterday, were in a meeting with the finance ministry over the payment of interest on their matured coupons and bonds. You may be wondering exactly what they mean when they say interest, because the bonds gave them interest when they invested their principals. Let me break it down for you. So they invested in government bonds, and if you don't know too well, you can say they are a bit similar to treasury bills, where you put your money in, after a specified number of time, you get it back. But unlike treasury bills, where we have 91 days, 180 days, and then a full year, the bonds tend to be much longer, so 2-3 years and the likes, and the interest much higher as well as compared to the treasury bills that you can get regularly if you walk to your bank. So they invested their monies in these bonds, and then the economic challenges started here and then. Government said that, you know what, we're doing a debt restructuring. So instead of paying you by, say, 2023, 2024, 2025, we cannot do that because we don't have money. So let's sit at the table, renegotiate, and then instead of the payment date we agreed with you earlier, we can push the payment date much forward. So we can begin to pay you from 2025. That one's off. The interest will be small. From 2028 thereabout, and we will increase the interest rates for you. The pensioner bondholders didn't like the idea, began picketing, and then they were exempted. And so they've been exempted, and so their bonds which they made investment in are expected to begin to mature now. In fact, 5 of them have matured already in this year, and so government must pay them. But some matured as far back as March, they've not been paid. And so now they're asking that government pays them the investments and then the interest which came on the bond. That's one. And then they are demanding interest on the whole sum. And so I'll just break it down again for you. So, for instance, again, using the treasury bill as an example, you invested, say, 1,000 cedis in a 91-day treasury bill. And when the 91 days up, the government or the bank is supposed to credit your account with the principal, which is 1,000 cedis, which is the principal which you put in, plus the interest, which could be 10% of whatever you put in. So you could be getting 1,100. And so after 91 days, you're supposed to be getting 1,100. But because of a difficulty from the Ghanaian government, they've not been able to put the 1,100, they've not given it to your bank for your bank to put it in your account so it can reflect. And they've kept the money for more than 91 days. That's almost another 90-day treasury bill. And so putting that back into the context of the bondholders and the pensioner bondholders, that's a situation they find themselves in. They invested money, the time is due for them to receive the monies or their bank should be credited. That has not happened, and it has gone on for more than 90 days. So now they are saying that government, give me my money that I invested with the interest. That's one. And then secondly, because you've not given me that money for more than 90 days, I'm taking it like it is in a treasury bill, and so you need to pay interest on that sum as well. That's in totality exactly what's been happening. And so yesterday they went into a meeting over the argument that my money has been with you for more than 90 days. You need to pay interest. Government said, look, I know that I'm supposed to do that, but I don't have it. So please forfeit that interest. Well, the pensioner bondholders said that is not going to happen. They're going to take their principals, including the interest on their initial investment into the bond, and then now they're expecting interest on the entire sum, which has been in the coffers of government for more than 91 days. Dr. Edwin Anientri is a convener of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum. He spoke to journalists after that meeting. Let's just take a listen to exactly what he said.
We've had a meeting this morning from 9 o'clock. I think it was past 10 before we closed. And the key things that was discussed at the meeting: first, the pensioners are asking for payment of interest on the delayed principal. The issue is that is the money they are using to invest, to get interest, to buy their medication and fend for themselves. So if we have delayed it, in some cases over 100, today one is 108 days. We are saying you can't keep the money for free. Pay interest on it as you were paying when the principal was refused. So once we haven't returned the principal, we are asking for payment of interest. Government say it cannot do that. It can't pay the interest. We have said that if government is not going to do that, we still want it to be done. And so in that case, we will need an arbiter. So we have suggested that we will submit the matter to CHRAJ, for CHRAJ to go into and tell us whether we have the right to take to demand the interest or not. So we have decided that we will do an official letter to government demanding the interest payment on the delayed coupon. The government is going to respond whether the issuer must keep our money when it is due to be returned to us and deprive us of investment income. So that matter definitely will land on the doorstep of CHRAJ. Then the second one that we also discussed was that we were supposed to pay the coupons that were due up to 29. At last week's meeting, it was to be immediate. So we have expected the coupons to be paid by this time. We haven't received any alerts. The deputy minister says that the Bank of Ghana has told them that they have sent money to the banks for the banks to credit their accounts. But we haven't seen any crediting from the banks. So once no alert has been received, we are going into continue with our picketing. If by the time we leave here, we see alert that the amount is being paid, we won't come tomorrow. If we don't see anything alert system working today, we will come again Friday. Then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we won't come. There's still arrears. If that 3 days we see arrears being paid, we won't come. If we don't see, we will come Thursday, Friday. The delayed coupon system. That's what the government said was to be given 2 weeks from last week. So we are still within the time frame. We gave government due service, or the principal, delayed principal, sorry, a delayed principal 2 weeks to make payment of the delayed principal. We are 1 week now, so there is still 1 more week for government to pay the delayed principal, which is up to 29th of May. What is outstanding from June to the end of December? Government is suggesting that they want to make a proposal, and the proposal is to buy you at market or to convert your maturity values into treasury bills. We have suggested to government that if you want a proposal that will be accepted, do the proposal on principal plus accrued interest. That you will get some successful, you will get some level of success. Principal plus accrued interest, because that is the amount you owe people. If you owe me that amount and you don't want to owe me again, pay me what you owe me. And what you owe me is my principal and the interest. You don't owe me the market. I haven't said I want to sell for me to go to the market.
That's Dr. Edouard Aniyenchi essentially explaining their position and why they will be going to the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice to seek some action taken against government. And they may be returning today, Friday, June 29, to the premises of the Finance Ministry, because even the promise to have their monies paid to them, the money that they are now demanding interest on, the government has not fulfilled it. Well, one of the pensioners was present there as well. As you know, they continue to picket there. She goes by the name Alan Balbe. She's also invested in a government treasury bill, and she was quite livid and had this to say.
I owe this woman 60,000 cedis. That's how it has affected me. She's my housekeeper. She bought treasury bills with her money, and I was an idiot and I bought government bonds. She, as soon as the thing started, 25th December, I told her, go and move your treasury bills. Now I owe her 60,000. I have people who are ill, my dependents. I can't buy their medication. She buys their medication. The 60,000 I owe her, she has been buying medication for her house, paying water bill, paying electric bill, buying food. This time we can't even give her money to go to market. Drugs, everything, she buys it for us. 60,000 cedis I owe her. Where am I going to take it from? You are giving us our money. The money hasn't reached our pocket. It has not reached our pocket. This one is Bachi Dankwa, Joseph Bachi Dankwa. He's in our house. We are feeding him too. Come on, they should come and bring us our money. If they don't bring us our money, Thursday, Friday, we'll come here. Those people who have just arrived from America, IMF, they should be told, we want our money. What we gave is what we are taking. We are not taking any haircut. We are not taking any market value. We are taking, we are also issue exempt. We want our money. We are taking our money. Okay, madam? Make sure they hear us.
And so there you have it, pensioner bondholders who may likely return to the Finance Ministry again today, seeking to have their monies paid them. And we will continue to follow the subject and bring you a lot more details as and when we get it here on Studios 2 Television and on Let's Talk Ghana. But let's switch our attentions and do some other stories. Bring you details as to exactly what's transpiring in the last 48 hours, having to do with the arrest of Professor Frimpong Boateng, who is the former Environment, Science and Technology Minister. So on the 15th of May, when the conversations about his 36-page report on Galamsey was beginning to die down, he had been invited by the special prosecutor. He availed himself, but during the course of the interrogation, it so happened that he was arrested and granted a 2 million cedis bail. In fact, the prof says that, the good old prof said that he had to call a friend to come bail him. He's been speaking exclusively to a media house here in Ghana, TV3, and let's just go get excerpts of that interview, and then we get reactions that have been coming through since that interview and that news broke. Professor Balfour-Jimen, Professor Frimpong Boateng, I beg your pardon.
That was the 16th of May.
16th of May?
Yes.
When you got there, what happened?
Well, I was we waited at the lobby down there. That was my first time in that building. So then we got there around 10 o'clock, waited for the lawyer, my lawyer. When he came, we were taken upstairs, I think to the 7th floor or so, where the office is. And then we were ushered into a room. I was given a chair, and opposite me was the chief investigator. Next to me on my right were my lawyers, 2 of them, and then some officers from that office. So as soon as I sat down, the chief investigator came to me. I was sitting down. He put his left hand on my right shoulder and said, "Professor, you're under arrest."
He said you're under arrest?
Yes, under arrest.
For
why?
what?
Well, he says they are investigating corruption and corruption-related activities of the IMCIM, and that is the Interministerial Committee.
Which you were the chairman of?
I was the chairman of. Any specific thing I have done? No, they're just doing their investigations. But all the same, I was on arrest. I find it a little strange. But then, that was my first time in such an office. They asked me whether I was ready for the interview. And I said, well, why not? I will answer as much as I could. So I was questioned for about 2 hours or so, maybe a little bit more. And after that, I was told that I had to be bailed before I could be released. Of course, they did not even suggest self-recognizance bail. I needed somebody to bail me. So a friend of mine was down there at the lobby. He came up and bailed me. So I left, and they went with my friend to his house.
That's the exclusive interview that Professor Frimpong Boateng granted TV3. He spoke to a number of other media houses, special mention to the others and all of that, but we chose to bring these excerpts and copyright and all of that duly acknowledged to them. There's been a lot of reactions. One from Professor Ransford Jampo, who is a lecturer, professor of political science and a lecturer at the University of Ghana. He took to Facebook to explain and vent quite seriously in relation to the news of the arrest and asked that the special prosecutor tones down. I'll just walk you through brief portions of that statement, and it says that the special prosecutor has every right to invite Professor Frimpong Boateng to assist in getting to the bottom of some of the issues raised in his report, but some of the issues raised, as he's rightly stated, he never published but privately submitted to the president. Then he goes on to say that it is disrespectful and an unnecessary show of power as well as harassment to Professor Frimpong Boateng. He makes the argument that he could have been invited. If he failed to show up, then you kick in with arrest. But arresting him without charges and subsequent bail, Professor Ransford Jampo believes is a bit too harsh. It looks like it's a chain of professors who've been reacting because governance expert, Professor Bafo Ajimendia as well, has been reacting to this and says that the government is unnecessarily opening itself up to criticism with the manner in which Professor Frimpong Boateng was arrested. He spoke to me exclusively as well. Here's exactly what he said.
I think this news has come as a big surprise to many of us, especially those of us who know Professor Boateng personally, as I do. He's a man of high integrity. He's a man who's totally committed to his country, to the well-being of his country. And I believe that when he's entrusted with any responsibility, he will do it to the best of his abilities. Regarding this specific case, we know he was chairing the Interministerial Committee to fight galamsey, which is a big problem for the country. And from what we know, he was tasked by his boss at the time, and his boss wasn't directly the president, but the chief of staff, to kind of report on the work that he's been entrusted to do on that committee, and also to suggest ways to strengthen the fight against galamsey. So the man did it as honestly as he could, and in the process, mentioned some officials, both in the government and in the political party, who are complicit. Why hasn't the Office of Special Prosecutor invited those who are allegedly complicit in this criminal act of galamsey, but rather the one who was asked to report? See, when you look at the whole case, it's very easy for anyone to say, look, it's not just a fight back, but it's a victimization. That's how it looks. Because, as I said earlier, if you know Frimpong Boateng, he's not a guy who will, get himself involved in this kind of thing. But you also have to say that if it's a matter of discretion or some misjudgment as a minister or as a chairman on these matters, those things, as a human being, you are heading a group, certainly there can be occasions of misjudgment and all. So if the accusation against him is that he had made some misjudgments, that one I will not quibble with that. But to say that he himself is under investigation for corruption and misuse of items, that kind of stuff, that one is baffling. And I think the government is opening itself needlessly to public attacks for victimizing someone who, in the eye of the public, is as innocent as a real child in these matters.
And so there you have it. That's been a myriad of reactions from anti-graft campaigners as well as they continue to react to the development. The news itself appears to be dying down quite a bit, but we just thought that we have to bring the latest details as and when they come. We've been heavy on the galamsey conversation, particularly when Professor Frimpong Boateng's report leaked to the media. And so it's just right that these updates, as and when they come through, are provided to you, our cherished viewers. So going for a break. When we return, we'll end in the Upper East region, where butchers there are raising concerns over a ban on livestock slaughtering and its sale. Stay with us here on Let's Talk Ghana. You're welcome back to Let's Talk Ghana, and like I mentioned before we went on that quick break, we're taking you up north, Upper East region to be specific, because there's a health concern there, the anthrax disease, which broke last week. One person has died, 11 others contracted the disease, and there's surveillance and the likes in the region. Now 4 districts have been affected, and it's a disease that affects mostly cattle, but can be picked by humans when they eat meat that has a disease which has not been well cooked. And that is what happened, which is resulting in the health scare there. It has resulted in an outright ban in the slaughtering and sale of all livestock, including dogs, in the Upper East region. And obviously, the Regional Coordinating Council and all other districts within the region, they're taking it quite seriously, because there's already one death, and it's quite fatal, that anthrax disease. But amidst all of that, meat remains a substantial source of protein for a lot of the indigents there, and it is big business as well. And this ban appears to be taking a toll on the businesses of some of the butchers there. And they say that they should have been consulted, and the outright ban is causing fear and panic. Here's what some of them have been telling us.
During that we heard there was a meeting at the Regional Coordinating Council, and a decision was taken to ban the movement of animals within and outside the region, the Upper East region, and that butchers were to stop selling meat. Livestock owners, sellers, and cattle dealers were also to stop. In fact, this meeting was done behind our backs, because we are stakeholders in this matter and we are not consulted. Apart from that, it is causing fear and panic in the region. I don't think it has reached the level where the ban should have been total ban should have been put on the sale of meat. The veterinary people should have taken it upon themselves to manage the situation and to observe it for a longer time before such a decision was taken. government could dictate. Yes, we are abiding by it. Actually, the meat that you see around being sold is leftover meat. The meat that was left over yesterday, I know we cannot throw it away, so we have to sell it out and then follow their decision. Or if the ban was lifted today out of it, we better happen. Because it is causing suffering to. They are alleging that it is, the anthrax is killing people. But the ban on the sale of meat and all these things is bringing a lot of hardship to people. It's the same death. So I would have wished that the ban was lifted overnight.
No, none of them, nobody come. Because the market, they say they have announced that they shouldn't come. So it's emergency, nobody come. Already, the Mayanka people, we too, sometimes they came here and buy and go and kill and sell. So they stopped them at the spot. So they didn't inform them, they didn't inform us. So we don't know this thing, which will affect all of us, our business side. Thank you.
So there you have it, the butchers, they're raising concerns. And if you visit the town, extra videos that we got, it's not pleasant. They are not able to make any sales. And all across the northern part of the country as well, they're beginning to take steps to seek to avert all of that. That's how we'll end today's edition of the show, but without mentioning that today is Green Ghana Day. If you can, plant a tree and help save the planet, but essentially provide shade for yourself because the sun is really hot. I am Eric Mawina. Until we meet again on Monday, stay safe and enjoy the weekend.
Studios 2 TV. The truth is here in your eyes.